welcome back to another episode of the Caffeine and Beans podcast. That was what is it, ASMR or whatever? I figured I would try a different intro.
What's the ASMR? What was that?
It's like the sounds that some people they really enjoy certain sounds and it makes them feel really good. So
So like Piccolo in the waterfall.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it.
So some make you feel like really good. You're like, ooh, I love that. Like when you open the bottle of like a Coke or something, right? Like a can, and it goes. And conversely, some people hate it when like nails scratch on the on like a chalkboard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'd start off with a little. I shouldn't do that. But yeah, hello and welcome back. I'm joined by Chiwin, of course. How are you?
I'm doing
You're doing all right.
Doing all right, man. Yeah, I'm doing all right now.
Okay.
So, how about you?
I'm doing all right. I realized I think people actually use a soundboard. They don't actually sip. You know, I don't know if this will come out.
We need to
well.
get a soundboard. I would love to have a soundboard.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. 2021, that's the thing we're looking to do.
We're upgrading our studio.
Yeah. Upgrading
the
the studio.
goal.
That's the goal for 2021. Hopefully by December, this is going to be it takes form. Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. I'm tired, so I hope this coffee wakes me up. I for whatever reason, I just couldn't fall asleep last night. I fell asleep, but not until like maybe like 12:30 midnight. And I woke up like at 5:30, because like my body just wakes up at that time, and I like 5:45 really, and so feeling nice right now, feeling refreshed, and I'm gonna go for a run after this. Coyote Hills, so I hope that wakes me up. I always take showers, like cold showers in the morning to wake up, but it didn't work, dude. This is my third cup of coffee. Like, so today, my brain might definitely not be at its optimum capacity, right?
Or maybe your body's just trying to tell you that you should take a rest.
Nah, dude, come on. Your boy's a machine, dude. Not just like,
The cyborg.
You know what it is though? Like for me, when I have nights where I can't sleep, I like to overwork myself the next day so that I knock out when I come home. I don't know if that's scientifically good, but that's what your boy does.
Yeah. But it's kind of like it's trying to balance it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know for sure I'm falling asleep at 9:40 this night. I have to,
Yeah.
And yeah, because I want to also get my sleep before the baby comes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna be, dude.
Yeah, I don't know, but you'll see when you get it, and you see when you get the baby.
Yeah.
Well, I admire your discipline. I think
you.
it's admirable that you get to fall asleep. I'm the complete opposite. I'm not falling asleep at 9:40.
You're a night owl, though.
I slept. I think I went to sleep at like 1:30 yesterday.
So you, like, when I told you, I was expecting a reaction out of you when I said I fell asleep at 12:30, and you were just like, "Oh, okay, you went to sleep early then." But I noticed you didn't have a reaction, so I was like, "Oh shit, this is," I'm like, "How do I keep this going now?"
I don't know what it is, dude. Like, I just I love being a teacher, but that's like the one part of the job that I really dislike.
Having to wake up early.
I hate having to wake up at like 7:30 to go to work at like 8, because it's so early that like your brain, at least my brain, like it doesn't fully wake up. So I'm like first period, I'm like hella groggy still. Yeah,
right,
I'm like having to throw some water in my face so that I can put my game face on. But it's
try taking a cold shower in the morning, dude. Just saying.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, dude. I'm saying you try it one time, it's gonna change your life. Yeah, what's crazy is so like when I worked at my old company, I was always when I worked at the second location, I was always like the first one in, right?
Yeah.
And I'll get in pretty early, like around 7. Um, yeah, I was the first one in. When I started working for the new company that I'm at now, I was like, oh, okay, I like to keep it. I like to keep that same like uh routine, like get in early and whatnot. And so I get in 7:15 to test the water, see who's around. Dude, the CEO's in there, right? And I was like, oh, okay, okay.
Uh,
So then I'm like, let's see how far he could go, right? So the next day I get in at 6:50. Dude, he's already in there. Okay. And then I'm like, there's no way. Then I decide I'm gonna stay till like because I'll get out maybe depending on the workload now later, but I'll get out like 4-ish, right? And I'm like, it's 7 to 4. That's a good shift, and I see he's not leaving, so I decide I'm gonna stay longer.
yeah.
Dude, I end up having to stay till 6:30 to see like, oh, okay. He's like, all right, I'm taking off. I'll see you later, Irvin. 6:30, dude. I was like, damn. All right. I was like, okay, that's enough. Now I'm just like, all right, I'll leave at 6 the latest.
But when you see something like that, your first is your first like reaction like, man, this man is just he's dedicated. It's hard work right
Yeah,
here.
dude.
That's
And I want to
that's what
like,
you see.
yeah, dude, because for me, like, one day I want to be in a position of management, right? And I never want to feel like my manager works less than me, like he or she just they just mail it in like and I don't know, to me that it's just not inspiring. Like I don't really respect that. And so when I see kind of like someone set the standard, I kind of want to like, oh, okay, this is what it takes, and it motivates me. It motivates me. um but it's okay. He's the CEO, so I'll he could leave the. He's like the literally the dude who turns the lights on and turns the lights off.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it
and
does.
and that's what you want to be.
Yeah, one day. I don't know about like a CEO, but one day be in like a management position. I would aspire to that. That's
First
my.
one, first one in, last one out.
Yeah, dude. I feel like, especially right now that I'm young, like grind, dude. Like for me, this is just my personal like
Yeah.
ethos, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you've known me my whole life, obviously. So like, this is not really anything. I've kind of always been like this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where things go. You know, but
All right, well, I hope you develop some boundary work as well.
yeah, I mean, I definitely try to do the work life balance. But like sometimes sometimes there'll be days where I go a little too much on the life part, and
Mm-hmm.
there'll be other days where I go a little too much on the work part. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
always finding that balance is what's like the challenging part for me. Right? Don't get me wrong. There are days where I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not this ain't it, chief. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
had to go into work today, damn, damn, dude. But my fiance, she works 2 jobs, right? So she
Mm-hmm.
has a full time and then what they call like a per diem, which is almost like a part time. So and she gets in maybe around, she goes to sleep maybe around 11 because she gets in at 10:30, and then she has to wake up at 5:15, no 5:30, and go to work the next day. So it that also kind of pushes me a little bit. It's not every day. She only does that twice a week, but still like it pushes me. It's yeah, that's just how it is. We synergize well.
Yeah, I
But
see that.
yeah. But yeah, man, everything's good with you. You're doing all right. I see you got lined up. Got a nice lined
Yeah,
up.
I had to, man. I had to. I
It was
had to.
getting wild.
My kids are getting on me because of my beard because it was looking ridiculous. So
It looks
yeah,
good.
thanks. So I had to shave it up a little bit, little bit different, man. It's been a heavy week, man. Everything's been going on around this country, and what's happened and how things have kind of transpired. And as a teacher,
Yeah.
you know, you have to talk about it and you have to address it. So you know, kids feel it, and you know, I feel it, and it was a hard week to get through work. So I'm like,
Mm.
I don't feel like working this week. It's just it's a lot, you know. It's hard to process everything that
Mm.
that's kind of happening, and then you kind of still have to put on a game face. Well,
Mm-hmm.
not have to put on a game face, but I think still find some sort of like um some sort of message, right?
Mm-hmm.
But goes back, you
Well,
know, to school.
you're you're a like a guide for those kids, right? So like you're the kind of captain of the ship. Um and so, you know, for that in that space, right? Uh
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like their entire life, but in that space. So I think it's it's a heavy responsibility, right? Cuz you're dealing with young adolescents and you know, we talked about this last week. People have things going on that we may not know. I'm sure there are things your kids are going through that maybe you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And with all of that, you still not only have to teach, but kind of also guide them, you know, not be like robotic to where it's like, okay, I'm in and I'm out. You
Yeah.
guys go home, do you come back? So, yeah, man, it's, you know, it's admirable stuff. Admirable
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Um, but now, Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah. Let's
Bojack,
let's hop
Unbound.
in.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
do it. How do you give me? I guess give me one word. Dang it, I didn't even think about a word. But give me a word. Give me a word or a sentiment, a word, something, dude.
I would say foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is okay. Interesting. That's interesting. Normally, when we give like the one word, it kind of gives us a glimpse into what, like we get an idea. Okay, did this movie hit with this, you know, with you, or like did he like it, um or did he not? And normally the one word will kind of give us an idea, but this one's a little ambiguous. I would say, hmm, okay, I'm gonna say caring.
Mm-hmm.
Caring.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and yeah, I think I'll leave it there, although I don't think the main like theme of the movie is caring, but I do think it's one of the sub themes. Like I think they kind of play on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, why do you say foreshadowing? I didn't even I don't.
Well, I think there's a lot of foreshadowing here for a lot of characters. So it's not just for Gohan, but it's
Uh-huh.
like there's foreshadowing here of what Piccolo's destiny will be as the as the as the garbage guy of the group again. There's foreshadowing for Krillin as just being irrelevant. Yang Tien irrelevant. Trunks irrelevant. So it's just a lot of foreshadowing here for me. Gohan, what could have been, you
What
know,
could have been.
what could have been Gohan as the lead character. I think that, to me, that's the way I interpret this film. This was
Hmm.
their attempt at, let's see how it would look like if Goku didn't finish somebody, and if Gohan started to become the main character. So
Right.
uh, so there's just foreshadowing there, at least in my opinion. And then Vegeta as well. Like there's like he's starting to shift a little bit in regards to caring for people, how you said, because he's starting to care for his son, he's starting to care for Goku. So there's a little bit of a shift there for him.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Like obviously, I said caring. It's interesting that you interpret it like that. Like yeah, um these definitely these characters, they become fodder. I think this is, it's very like a, it does foreshadow the fact that they will become fodder. Like Krillin in this, you know, I kind of somewhat respected his attitude against Piccolo in that tournament, but then he gets
Yeah.
decimated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when Piccolo comes in, I respect him the way like he saves Gohan, and he goes after Bojack immediately, and he gets decimated.
Yeah, immediately gets annihilated.
Yeah, gets destroyed. Which,
Well, the thing is, like, he's like, "Oh, you found the fight, the one that I wanted to fight."
right,
And I'm
and
like,
it's like,
"Oh, okay, yeah, yeah."
yeah,
You
this
get
is right
fucking
in your
annihilated.
wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. This looks like it's like he can't catch a break, dude, because he either gets someone who's way too weak or someone that's gonna one shot him. But for sure, I mean, Yamcha and Tien were. I appreciate the fact that everyone kind of tried to get a little bit of shine, but definitely Yamcha and Tien, yeah, they're fodder, dude. Like they were not. That's not the cavalry you want to bring in.
Well, at least Tien put up a fight against Trunks to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got his
Oh
little
yeah, at the
beam in there.
beginning.
You
Yeah.
know, he at least had that. Yamcha, on the other hand, he doesn't even get annihilated in the tournament. He just gets the squad. He just gets taken out.
Right.
And then he shows up as the cavalry. I'm like, what are
Right.
you doing?
Right.
We don't
Exactly.
need
Like
you.
this is not the
Bring in the
backup we thought
sumo
about.
wrestler, dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
bring in the sumo
We
wrestler.
needed Goku and Vegeta and Tien and fucking Yamcha show up. Uh yeah, I mean, they are what they are. They're absolute fodder. It's like back in, if we do go down the Dragon Ball journey route, that's
Mhm.
when, they had some shine. Uh that's when they were at their peak. But I will say this, like Hercule provided more support than Yamcha and Tien,
Mhm.
and they found a way to make Hercule like an asset without actually intentionally trying to be one, right? Because like
Mhm.
I like Hercule's character because he's ridiculous, right? Like
That's the boy.
yeah, like he tries to weasel his way out of everything.
Yeah.
He apparently like his afro's fake, right? Or his hair's fake and he's bald. Um and so, he cracks me up, dude. Like the entrance, ridiculous. When he comes in with the ship flying in and it crashes and it destroys the camera, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You know, then when he's in the bathroom, like yeah, that dude he's next level. Um,
I just love the fact that they always like the champ is here.
yeah, and
el,
the
el
crowd goes
campeón.
wild.
Yeah, el
Yeah,
champion.
yeah, el champion. Yeah, man. I mean, I got some. One of the things I had here is I enjoyed seeing Goku on the sidelines, uh, because obviously it allowed Gohan to shine,
Hmm.
and I like how there's like this, like I said, sub theme where you see the dynamic between Trunks and Vegeta and Goku and Gohan.
Hmm.
Um, both of them care and they both show it in different ways. And obviously, both show up to save their sons. Um, but one of the things I like that they played on was like how Vegeta almost, even though he hates Goku to like, I don't know, hates in air quotes, uh, Goku, he almost feels like he doesn't have much of a purpose, um, or he loses motivation if Goku's not around. So as much as he hates him, Goku being alive gives him motivation to continue to train and like get stronger. And it shows how Vegeta doesn't feel the same without Goku. He feels uh, almost. I don't want to say incomplete. That sounds corny. He doesn't feel motivated, right? And I enjoy that because for as much as they don't like each other, they still do. And you know, um, I enjoy seeing that. Like it every time, anytime you see Vegeta having a heart, I think it's a good,
A
a
good thing.
nice. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, show a different emotion. Yeah, I mean, I think it adds a different layer to Vegeta's character, and I like that because they do that in the film and they do it in really subtle ways. Like you know, it's not even him really showing it, which is one thing that I appreciated
Mm,
about Vegeta's character is like it's not actually him saying it; it's other characters saying it for him, because
mm,
maybe he doesn't have the
right.
language to say that, or he won't admit it. But there are like I believe it was Bulma or it might
Yeah,
have been
Bulma.
Trunks or somebody said, you know, like he hasn't been the same since Goku died, and
Right.
like and there's like there's a nice element there where you can get that, like you see him and you get that like experience of him that he's going through a lot of pain or he's going through something right now, like a
Right.
grieving process, like he's grieving right now,
Hmm.
and how he's grieving with it. So
Hmm.
which I think makes his appearance a lot more
Impactful.
powerful, a lot more
Right.
impactful, I think, and powerful, because I to be honest with you, this is probably my favorite entrance, and like I would even say appearance in a film so far. Like
Mm,
this one, and I think
yeah.
that I think it is because of the added layers before he gets there
Yeah.
that you know that it's gonna be like, you know, the big dog's about to come when he comes in. And I
Right.
thought the way they did it in this one, I mean, it's very formulaic and the way they lay it out for him every time, but like this one was just different
Yeah.
because of that, because of the things that they added before he got there, which
Exactly.
I think that they don't do in other films, but in this one they did, and they did it in just, which goes to show that all you really need is like a couple sentences in there
Yeah.
to just lay out the foundation to provide a real reason to come in, you
Hmm.
know. So I love that. I loved his appearance in this one, in this film.
Exactly. And this is very much like something you can relate to real life, like if you're close to someone, you may even have a love-hate relationship, but shit, shit, dude, if they die, like it's you see it with dogs, you see it with people. Like if a dog loses its best friend dog, it goes through like a grieving process. It feels very sad. Same thing with, one of us, we lose one of our close friends or a relative, someone we're just super close with. And it's like there's that moment, that space where you're like, shit, you're trying to gather yourself, and like you need time to yourself, right? And you're you're asking all these questions, you're trying to find out why, like trying to find motivation. And I like how they did that, and of course he's not like the dude who's gonna cry or anything, right? Like he's not, because that's not his person, but like it's still, it's nice to see this, like you said, layer, that
Yeah, yeah, because you know what? Like in this world, like it's rare that we get that side of characters, because it just feels like everybody dies, but they're still alive type of deal, or you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like they come
you don't
back or
mourn.
whatever.
Yeah.
You don't mourn, you don't grieve. And I think
Right.
that that is one something that the film did that I'm like, oh, okay, this is a different layer. Because that's like
Right.
Chi-Chi and Gohan don't look like they're sad
They
about
look good.
Goku.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
dude, they're
Gohan looks like he's ready to take on the reins. He's ready to take down the thing.
Chi looked like she moved on. Like
Yeah, she
she's
looked like
even
she's ready
wearing
to.
different stuff. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, come on, yo.
so so it's rare, I think, to see the grieving process, and
Hmm.
I thought it was really cool that they gave it to Vegeta. You know, because I think it's easy to go to Gohan and to Chi Chi,
That's true. Yeah.
but I think it's easy to go there, which I don't think that they do often. But I'm sure that it's easy for that to do because you can relate, because you know it's the son
Yeah.
partner. But Vegeta provides a different layer. It adds an element that it's a balance, right? Like it's like they balance each other out.
Hmm.
So if my other balance, like if my other
One other
side of my
half.
balance
Right.
isn't here, is just not here,
Exactly.
then who am I without that person? And that's, you know, that's gonna happen to us
At one
in every
point.
part at
Yeah. At
one
one
point, right?
point in our
With
life.
our
Yeah.
partners or our loved ones, and that creates a real. It makes me think actually of my wife's parents, you know, because
Hmm.
they're a little older, and
Hmm.
you know the idea is like, man, I wish that I died uh together, you know, that we died at the same time,
Yeah. Right.
but the odds of that happening are so slim
Yeah.
that it's really hard to really think about, like, so then what am I when my partner leaves, and
Yeah.
what does that say, what am I supposed to do? And
Hmm.
so so when I look at Vegeta and Goku, even though they're not married, it's that
They have that
bond and
bond, right?
that relationship that I think really adds a
Yeah.
layer that I'm glad that they talked about, because they
Hmm.
don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, it was so subtle too. Like it was just like you said, a few sentences and then just a few scenes of him. Like, because that's all you need. And you're an English teacher, so I'm sure you know more about storytelling than me. But you don't need a huge 20-minute monologue about what's going on. Um, that's where that obviously Bulma talks about what Vegeta's going through and just how he hasn't been the same since Goku left. He's not even training. That's why when he shows up to fight Bojack, like Trunks is stronger than him and he's just getting decimated.
Mm-hmm.
And but he still tries to fight, obviously, because that's his son, and he doesn't tell him like, I'm here to protect you, even though Trunks is stronger than him.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells him like, get out of here, like back out, like even though Trunks knows, like, dude, I'm stronger than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that panel when he sees his son like gonna enter the tournament and he turns off the TV and he's like, huh. And then he goes like back to pondering,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of deep thought. And they show the sword, Trunks' sword there, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, he's probably in Trunks' room. Um, right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's nice, it's anytime you see Vegeta, like, because he's this like brick wall, he's a stone wall and you can't get to him. He laughs in the face of adversity, right? Well,
Yeah.
there are certain things that get to everyone, and Goku's death is one that got to him. And I like that too. And you know um I feel like that made, like you said, his entrance much more impactful, like when he went to show up. How did you feel about that? Did you feel like the actual we talked about the entrance was nice. How did you feel about that, like, little interaction between Trunks and Vegeta while they're fighting Bojack? Were you feeling it?
Yeah,
Or is it
I feel
Bojack?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was BoJack. I liked it. I like that. They're kind of at odds, mostly because Vegeta is not really talking about his emotions, so his son is kind of just having to pick it up, and it's like,
Mhm.
what are you doing? Like, you're not talking to us, so how am I supposed to know? And so I like that. I like that dynamic, and that's what I like to see, because I, I like that, because it creates a deeper layer to their relationship,
Mhm.
uh, which they don't really talk about in regards to. I mean, I have a son, right, and and I and I can relate to it, because, like, when I was younger, like, my mom was very much like Vegeta in regards to, she won't talk about her
Right.
feelings and she won't talk about what's happening.
Mhm.
So I know that when something happens and you don't talk about it, then you're kind of at a loss as a young person.
Mhm.
So when I see my father come in, like Vegeta in this case, comes in and saves me, but is not really talking to me about what's happening beforehand, I'm like, what are you doing here? You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? So it's like, I like that, because that's what I would assume would happen in the relationship, and they never really talk about that in the series. They don't really touch about, like, what is the impact here of Vegeta not talking to his son? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, what is the impact of him being so wallish, like, and what does that effect having on his family?
Right.
I
So
mean,
aloof almost.
right? It's almost like they don't really talk about that family, like, thing, and it might be too much for maybe young kids to even get to, but I like it, because I think it's a nice progression of his character, that, like,
Hmm.
you see an effect to the way that he's actually maneuvering around the world, right?
Absolutely. I mean, even if, and I know this doesn't have anything to do with the movie per se, but when you see him when he sacrifices himself uh, against Boo,
Mm-hmm.
and like everything that we're talking about now, it comes to the forefront there. Um, when he, talks about Trunks and and Bulma and even Goku, right? And he in that moment he comes to grips with the things that he's done, and Obviously, some of the things he's done haven't been great,
Mm-hmm.
but he's he's like he still cares for his loved ones, and that's why Vegeta is such an interesting character because he's almost like Piccolo in a sense, um, where but Vegeta almost goes out of his way to not verbally show that he cares for the people he cares for, but his actions they do speak that, right? They say that. And where Piccolo he's very stoic, right? Like he just operates as he wants to operate, and he's a man of few words, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting side note. I don't know if you know this, but Vegeta's voice character or voice actor and Piccolo's voice actor are the same. Is the same. It's
Okay.
Chris Sabbath. Yeah. So that's a little interesting.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yep. Um, and yeah, I just thought I really liked it. I liked that Vegeta was still trying to protect Trunks, even though he's been out of the game. He hasn't gotten stronger, but you know, his obviously that's his son. And even though, like I said, he I don't know that he'll ever say I love you, right? But his actions do. Well, I think that was kind of one of the things that you know, one of the subtleties that I saw in the movie that I liked. You know, and this leads me on to another thing, which was Goku's uh, Goku's portrayal in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how he's on the sideline the entire time, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the reason he's dead is the reason why Vegeta has kind of lost his way. Is the reason why Gohan is they're kind of he's kind of filling in that role now. They
Mm-hmm.
even given the Goku gi, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's the reason why Bojack is unbound, right?
Yeah.
And he plays an integral part in all of this coming together, but he's never actually fighting. He doesn't actually join, right? Like he's not the guy who's taking care of Bojack. But I like when Gohan is getting crushed by Bojack and Goku, who's the opposite of Vegeta, like for the most part, right? Um, he doesn't really rebel against the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll kind of he'll act accordingly, but and with the whole like them being dead, I know that there are like some strict rules. I know this is Dragon Ball talk, but there are like some strict rules that they can't break or else he can't get his life back. And I think one of those is like going unannounced into Earth. And that's why King Kai tells him like you can't go, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then obviously Goku says like my son needs my help, and he says to hell with all of that. Like he goes in and he in just like 2 seconds or whatever of him showing up, he helps Gohan. But I like how they did that. Like a love for a child will make you go, will like push you through to do things that you wouldn't normally do, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little out of character for him, but he does it because that's Gohan. Like he's not gonna just okay, you're right. I'm just gonna stay here and watch him die. Like I'll go save him, even if it's just a small little like appearance. You know. So the two kind of things that they played on there, the Goku Gohan and Trunks and Vegeta. I don't know if you kind of caught that or if you thought that when you were watching, but I liked it.
Yeah, they're opposites, right? Of how they parent and how they interact with their children. I
Hmm.
did get a little confused when Goku he did his instant transmission and saved Gohan. I was a little confused, and I thought that was a little. I thought it actually hurt Gohan as a character for Goku to do that. While I respect the motivation to save his son, um, there's I think it creates a codependency relationship there for Gohan, and I think that was probably one of the main reasons Gohan didn't work. is because we then saw the idea or the we saw that Gohan, he can't really do it without his dad.
Yeah,
And
and
and I think that that really hurt him. And I think it's unfortunate because Gohan uh at this point was like the big dog because he
mhm,
had just taken out Cell, and even in that he had Goku's help, but it made sense in that movie. It made sense. I mean, it made
right,
sense in the series because at that point Goku, had passed away, or he helped him get that Kamehameha, right?
right.
But in this one, it wasn't as necessary, and they went out of their way to save him in that way, so much so that they broke this rule, and like that's the way they're trying to justify it. They're trying to justify it with like, well, Goku is going to have a consequence as a result of this.
Mhm,
But I think that at the end of the day, it really hurt Gohan's character here, and I think that
mm,
it. I don't think that they foresaw, another foreshadowing. I don't think they foresaw how much this was going to hurt his character because it really
mm. Later
debilitated.
on in the series, right? Like,
Just not even just in later on the series, but just even in the movie, like it just even though he finishes him, like it really
it
takes
still feels
away.
like Goku had to help to
Goku had to help to in order to save this film or to save Gohan,
mhm,
and I mean it's unfortunate because I think that they had something going there with Gohan,
mhm,
and I appreciate the fact that they tried to give him his own film and they tried to make him the hero, and um it's they I think that they really screwed that up. They didn't
mm,
have to do that, and while again I respect Goku as a father for doing that, I thought it really hurt him. It really hurt his son in that way that,
mm. I
you
didn't
know.
think of that. And yeah, and what I was trying to get to is like, yeah, I didn't think of it in that way, and or I didn't see it like that. But now you talking about it, it kind of it sets the path for the Gohan's character development. Like, because like you said, okay, yeah, Gohan's character development. Like you said, Gohan, you had Goku's help when he beat Cell, but Gohan was on the verge of dying. Like his arm was broken, it was shattered. And Goku had helped Gohan get to that power level, and it felt very fitting. There was something nice about. There's something like there's like an emotional tie there. It worked really well when
Mhm.
Goku helped Gohan do the Kamehameha. Uh, while I personally did like this, I didn't I didn't even think of it that way because I was so kind of encapsulated by what I talked about with Goku.
Mhm.
I didn't see it from the Gohan side, right? That uh, Gohan kind of will always have the training wheels,
Yep. Mhm.
and then so he never develops into his own character, and then so later on in the series they don't know how to handle it. I think so. They tried to make him the Great Saiyaman, but he becomes a cartoon, basically a
Mhm.
caricature of what he
Mhm.
once was,
Mhm.
and it was yeah, like this was just it was. I see what you mean by like foreshadowing because this is the dynamic they cannot tackle, right? Like, how do we make Gohan this really great character without like having Goku's intervention? Because Gohan can get as strong as he wants, but if we know Goku's always stronger, then it's like, okay, we can rely on Goku. Why would we need Gohan?
Mhm.
Um,
And that's
and
kind of what
so,
happened in this film. Like Gohan can be as strong as whatever he wants to be, but at the end of the day, Goku's still gonna come and save the day, even if
yeah,
it's in this really small. Well, I would even argue it's pretty big, but it could see as a small like appearance.
right.
It really disrupted the flow of what they, I think, were setting up Gohan for,
Mm,
and I think, yeah, I mean it leads to problems later on in his character because that anger that they keep talking about in this film, Gohan doesn't he doesn't tap into it. It's not he doesn't tap into it as much as I think that they maybe thought it was gonna be.
mm-hmm,
So I mean, it's unfortunate because I think I think this is I don't want to say it's the killing of his character, but I think it's starting to, it's
Yeah,
the
this is after this is where he declines.
this is the downfall of
Steep
Gohan's character,
decline.
which is unfortunate because it's, I mean, I don't want to say it's due to that scene, but I think that scene
Well,
tells
that
us
dynamic that you talk about, that
that's the
constantly needing Goku in some way, shape, or form.
because then it's like, well, then what does Goku do, right, when he's away? And I think that is something that I don't think that they knew how to like talk about or show, right? Of like, can this series go on without Goku being on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
And can it just be on Gohan's shoulders and without Goku's intervention in this way? And I don't think that they did that right. So it's unfortunate because I think it really hurt Gohan's character, as we later saw in the series of where we're at now. But
Right. Even when I don't, so this was one question I had, and but this was how I interpreted this, is that after Goku, punched Bojack and saved Gohan, it looked like Gohan got power. Like he looked at his hand for a minute,
mhm,
and I was like, wait, is that Goku's? Because then if it's Goku's, then it's even worse, right? Because it's like,
yeah.
oh my God. And then he goes Super Saiyan 2, and he decimates Bojack. But how did you feel about the antagonist, the goons of this
Of
movie?
Bojack and his crew. Well, I personally, I thought that their design, I thought it was really cool. I liked the
Mhm.
design. I liked the goons designs. I thought they looked really cool. Uh, so I like that. That's number one. The problem with Bojack that I had was that I liked his squad more than I liked him, and I think that, I mean, it might have been due to the voice acting because I didn't really like the voice acting for him. But then
Mhm.
again, he didn't really have that many lines, so there's also
Right.
that part. It's the
Mhm.
same trope that they always use where they're like, he doesn't talk much, he's just gonna kick ass,
Like
and
Cooler in the first one.
yeah, so he doesn't really talk much, so he doesn't really have a big role in talking. But I think that what hurt Bojack, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is the pacing of the film. The pacing of the film was hard. It was hard because it started off really slow,
Mhm.
so I'm watching this tournament and I'm like, when the hell is Bojack gonna come in? Because I'm like, we're already about to be like 20-30 minutes in. We only got like 20 minutes left.
Right.
So I'm like, oh no, that means that they're gonna rush through Bojack
Mm.
and his crew. And I think that they did rush it, and I think that that hurt Bojack more than the crew, because the crew, I think, they had their little segments because you saw them, like, like the young woman was fighting Krillin and like the dude fought Trunks. I thought that dude was pretty cool, the one that fought Trunks. Um,
Mhm.
and I really like the design of the characters, by the way. Like, I
Mhm.
really like the way Trunks looked. I like the way Gohan looked. I thought Krillin looked pretty good too. And I like the design of the goons. So like,
Mhm.
I really like the way they looked. And so by the time you get to Bojack is kind of like, there's something just missing there for him, for me. Like, I didn't really understand his motivation.
Mhm.
There was something there
It
missing from
wasn't. Yeah.
the motivation. There was a little, I don't want to say far fetched, but it was a little hard to grasp because
Mhm.
so he gets unbound because of the fight with Goku. I mean, between Gohan and Cell, right?
Right, when the Kai, so the Kais were the ones who like chained him
Uh huh.
or shackled him, and he was on their planet. And so when the fight with Cell happened, and Goku, I don't know if you remember, but he there's a point where Cell gets huge, right? He gets
Hmm.
huge, and then Goku does the instant transmission. That's when he dies and he says goodbye, and he takes him to one of King Kai's planets, to King Kai's planet,
Hmm.
and he blows up the King Kai's planet, and that's what unbounds Bojack. Uh, so like that blowing up of that planet, I don't know exactly why. They don't say like this planet somehow chained him in. But yeah, blowing that planet up is what like releases Bojack.
And the reason that they chained him up was because he wanted to destroy planets.
Yeah,
Okay,
right,
so then now he's out, and then now he wants to destroy planets again, but he's
right,
going to destroy Earth
right.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
that's basic, right?
that's a basic motivation. It's not that deep.
Right,
So I think if anything, I think it was just I think it was just trying to showcase Gohan just being really strong and going up against a pretty strong opponent.
right.
So I mean, again, I like the way they all look. I thought his transformation was pretty cool. I thought that the fights looked okay, but while I don't think he's really that interesting of a
Character.
of a character. But then
Yeah,
again, they also rushed it. So I'm like, I don't even know if you had, because within all this, there's also the story between Gohan and Goku and
right.
Vegeta
And
and
Trunks.
Trunks, and
Right.
so you have all those side stories happening, and you have Hercule. So it's like
Right.
you have a
Hercule.
lot going on, and
Mhm.
you're not putting that much emphasis on Bojack, and it hurts the villain in that. And
And
so mhm.
yeah, you're right. But Bojack, he's a you're just run of the mill strong character. I didn't even think about the fact that they didn't show him until like minute 25 or something. Um, but I like that they're a different race and they went out of their way to design a different race that looks, in my opinion, look cool. Like the way Namekian's obviously a different race, and I would be interested in knowing, okay, what planet do these guys come from? They all
Yeah.
had a different accent except for Bojack for whatever reason. I think they
Mhm.
were just short on the budget. Uh, but
Yeah.
I not
I really didn't like his voice acting.
right,
It was
and
super weird.
yeah, yeah. So Bojack, he was just strong. He looked cool. I thought he looked cool. I liked some of his moves. I liked his barrier, but it was just like you said. He was there to show how strong Gohan is. Um, it wasn't like we couldn't like relate. Not that we could ever relate to like any of these guys, but it's just he was just there. We didn't know his motivation, and so I didn't. He was just whatever for me. But I liked his side characters, and I liked that they had, especially the little guy. I'm trying to get his name.
Yeah, the
It's
little
not.
guy. Mhm.
Yeah,
I know who
I
you're
liked
talking about.
him, dude. I want to
Yeah,
say
he was cool. Yeah.
it's either Beto or Boujin. Dang it, man! I can't believe I forgot. Um. Anyways, I liked his fighting style. The way he could manipulate his surroundings.
Mhm.
I like how he uh he just used everything that was around him, and there's a time where he breaks the hands off the clock
Mhm.
and he launches them at, I think, yeah, Gohan. And how they have those like tele telekinetic wires almost
It's
that
kind of
can
like
like,
paralysis type of deal.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I felt like they had something there, and it would be cool. They're so there are times where they're so good with creating these other races and like these other planets, and they never tap into it. Like, you know, they rely a lot on, like, why create another android when you can clearly create a different race, and it makes it interesting. Like, we can go see what these people are all about and like what are their motives. Why is Bojack the way he is? And uh I found intrigue in their race, um and I liked their characters. They were unique. They had a unique fighting style. Um, but I just, I don't know. I wish somehow they could incorporate this into the series. But
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed the crew. I didn't
right,
really enjoy BoJack, but I enjoyed the crew. I thought the crew was well designed. I love the way they looked. I thought they looked really nice. It was
mhm.
just the fighting styles were dope too. I thought the dude fighting Trunks actually was pretty tight. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm
I
surprised
think
that
that's Gokua.
yeah, I'm
They got
surprised I like
creative.
this dude. He looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's Yeah, I would love to see what the hell is behind that race, and possibly add a little bit more beef to Bojack. He reminds me of. He reminds me a lot of Jiren. Jiren, I
Mm,
think, suffers from the same problem where
mm,
his crew has a lot more to say and a lot more to do than he
yeah,
does, and
right,
which leads to a boring antagonist,
right,
which I think they both are in regards to they're just big, just brutes that are just
right,
strong, and they're just there to just put a placeholder there for whoever it is that needs to be stronger to get stronger. So I
right.
do like what I did like though. I did like the final Kamehameha though that Gohan
Right,
kind
that Gohan does.
of
Yeah, I like that too, and how they both went at it. Legends, touching back to Legends, they do a really good job, dude, of like capturing.
Hey, look, man, look at these movies. I'm like, look, I know I give Legends a hard time in regard. I mean, if you listen to our podcast from the very beginning, you know that this was a Legends
We rip,
podcast predominantly.
yeah,
Uh, but man, you gotta give it to them, man. They
yeah,
really do their homework
yep.
when it comes to the moves because
Hmm.
yeah, no, that looked really nice. I'm
They're
like, oh,
spot on.
mm-hmm.
They're spot on. Um, yeah, so uh, yeah, other parts of the movie, Hercule, he's always there for a good laugh, and of course, coincidentally, what a coincidence, he comes in and he destroys the camera,
Yeah,
so they'll never know who it was that actually. Well, they'll think it's Hercule that took care of these guys, uh, but I don't know what these tournament hosts were thinking, dude, when they were like, we're just gonna send them off to another dimension.
yeah.
I'm like, all right, dude, that's a little too risky, bro. And another thing that got me, dude, was when there's a part where I think this is peak Trunks, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think after this, okay, yeah, Trunks against Zamasu. I do like that. That's him. Okay, that's a good depiction of Trunks.
Yeah.
But to me, dude, everything about Trunks right here is just it's it, dude. The ripped jacket, the long, gorgeous
Oh
hair.
yeah, he looked tight in this
He
film. He
yeah,
looked tight. Yep.
he he was looking like a bad mother. You know what, dude? I know. As soon as he touched back on Earth, girls on girls on girls, dude. That fool was getting it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
that's assuming he likes girls.
right, well, he likes Mai, right?
That's
That's his
true.
girl. Uh, and but there's this one panel where he's fighting, and I think it's Goku, where he's fighting him, and they're running into the water like this, right? And I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on here, bro? They're just running straight, like looking at each other like this for a solid 4 seconds. And I'm like, dude, this is not going to happen in a real battle. But other than that, I loved how they did it. Like the dude also had a sword and he was going
Yeah.
at Trunks. But then obviously Vegeta comes in, that sword comes in, boom, and Trunks catches it, boom. Let me show you how it's done. Um, I like Trunks in this one, me personally. Uh, you know,
Yeah, I think Trunks presents a problem for them because I think that we like older Trunks.
for
And
sure.
if we like older Trunks more than we like baby Trunks, and
Yeah.
they put themselves in the hard position because it's like we've seen already what older Trunks is, and he's in the future, so we can't get him. So you have to give us, and then the little one is so different than the older one that
Mhm.
it's hard. It's hard to balance that because then you look at this trunk and you're like, this dude looks like a badass.
He does,
He
yeah.
looks clean. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
But I'll say this though. I know you're going on. So that older Trunks had a very different life than the baby present Trunks, right?
mhm.
And so we're shaped by our experiences, obviously. So maybe there's a Chiwin in a different dimension or something like that. That's completely different, right? And so they can't be the same. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because like
Mhm.
they haven't gone through the same pain and struggles, right?
Yeah.
The baby one's been sheltered, protected by Vegeta and Goku and all these strong people around him. Where future Trunks, he's been almost, for the most part, made to survive on his own. You know,
Yeah.
um, but there was a panel at the end that I actually really enjoyed, and it's when they're in the hospital. Like I would have just kicked Krillin out. I'd be like, all right, dude, you know, you weren't an asset on the battlefield, but you're over here taking a bed.
Yeah.
But there's that panel, like when they zoom out of the hospital and Vegeta and Piccolo are at the top. They're not with. I was like, where the hell are they? Like, okay, you know, typical Vegeta and Piccolo. They're nowhere to be found. Whatever. They come in, they do their business, they leave. They want nothing to do. But they're on the roof, you know, and they're not saying anything to each other. They're just serious, maybe in deep thought, and I like that stuff, dude. Like these little subtle things, these subtle shots where you just see the difference. Like everyone downstairs or in the hospital room, they're laughing and ha 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 ha, and you know, oh, because yeah, Krillin makes a joke about Hercule's hair. Everyone's laughing. Okay, and it's beautiful. It's all warm and fuzzy inside, and then right above them is Vegeta and Piccolo, and they're so different, you know, but they're there, right? Like they care. And I like that because not everyone is the same. Not everyone has the same personality, you know, but they care. And sometimes, you know, saying nothing is saying something. I don't know. It's something like that. But I like how they do that with Vegeta and Piccolo, you know.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at that scene. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, they are on top of that. Yeah, I mean it's nice little. You see, when they want to pay attention to little details, they do them, and I think that's what I like when I see them do that, because you know they do these little subtle things. I think they're having a really hard time with these villains, though.
Yeah, dude,
these villains that's the downfall right now. These films that I'm watching, I'm like. Because we're heading to the end of the road here with all these films, but like that's what I'm noticing is like the villains they're having a really hard time with the villains of like making them unique and interesting and that can like maintain the audience, you know. So I don't think it's by coincidence that I think that they may have known that they didn't have much with Bojack, so they kind of rushed it and they kind of like, you know, they kind of took their time. They took their sweet ass time to get to him because telling you by the time we get to him, it's already like almost half of the film. So
yeah,
you know,
it's like how are we gonna get? They just didn't even care about character development. They're like put him in there and, but dude, just hearing you talk, it's a journey. But I recommend Naruto, bro.
Again,
I'm telling you, dude, you're gonna be surprised with like how much they put into developing the antagonist to where you're like, is the antagonist really the antagonist? Like, what's going on here? And you know, there are. I'm trying to think if Dragon Ball's had anything like that. You know.
Where the antagonist is like a sympathetic,
like, right? Where you almost empathize with him, right? Like, and I'm trying to think like where it's like on a real like emotional level, and there may be it might come to my mind again. I'm on 5 hours of sleep right now, but yeah, man. Overall, you know, I enjoyed the movie. I know we're gonna get into ratings.
And reviews.
But yeah, our ratings. But I was gonna say like, you want to let us know what the folks are saying.
Yeah, man. So look, we're gonna start off with
what's the vibe, dude? Is
the
it
vibe? For the most part, you know, it's people they somewhat like the film. They somewhat like the film, yeah, somewhat. So let me start off with a good one. Okay.
All right.
So it says that well, not a good one, but you know, kind of middle of the road type of deal. Guy who cares. It's the name of the review.
Okay.
I remember watching this as a kid. The whole Bojack backstory wasn't explained too much in details, but what I do know is that he has a space. That he is a space gangster, from some far away. The animation wasn't as great as other movies I've seen. The plot was a 5 out of 10, but the end fight was hype. And all I'd rate this as a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right. We got another one here that is pretty good. It says it's a great movie and it's also hilarious with all the characters. Bojack is a good villain, but the only problem I had it was short. And then we're gonna go to a 1 star. That last one was a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
So this is a 1 star review, and it says, as a lifelong, oh shit, I lost it. Okay, here you go. As a lifelong Dragon Ball Z fan, it hurts me to give this such a low rating. I get the humor that's normally in these films, but there was just so much. It made the film so corny and unserious. Even having characters joke about ice cream during a climatic end, right? Oh wait, this might be for a wrong film. Wait, this person, no, never mind. Yeah, this is for a wrong film.
Oh, that was probably Battle of Gods, no?
That was for the Frieza movie.
The Frieza movie.
Yeah, the Resurrection F, I think.
Oh yeah. Ha!
Never mind.
That's definitely true though. That's facts what that person was saying.
Yeah, so never mind.
Nah, but you know, it's interesting. Like you talked about how the villain Bojack, he's just not. He ain't it. And you know that one review where he said that, or she, they said that, and yeah, man, this is it. This is where they struggle. This is their Achilles heel or Achilles tendon. They struggle with the antagonist development. You feel me? And I feel like if they did that, like little subtleties, I guess they're not gonna save the movie. Little Easter eggs and all of that, they're not gonna save the movie. You need like good characters and good character development. And their biggest issue is the villains, right? So
I got one here for you though. That's a low one. It says the worst DBZ plotting all in one movie. You know how DBZ has that issue where a lot of the fights will be awfully one-sided as one character kicks the crap out of the other way for way too long. Well, that's this movie in a nutshell. Really, there's nothing to spoil. It doesn't give even the illusion of tending. Everything from Act 2 on is just plain the waiting game. The first bits are actually pretty fun. We get to see minor DBZ characters, and they get a moment of glory. However, the main problem with this film is that the fights are all waiting for someone to power up and turn the tables. Trunks gets the tar beating out of him by one of Bojack's goons until he powers up and kills the dude. Bojack's goons kick the crap out of Yamcha Tien and then proceed to do the same to Gohan. And then once Piccolo and Vegeta enter the fight proper, Bojack kicks the crap out of them and then Gohan. So, yeah. So they're saying it's just kind of, they're saying also, they say Bojack is also an incredibly boring villain. He has no on-screen backstory. None of the fights he's in carry any kind of weight or engagement. And he has no lines to give him any kind of character.
Damn, dude, did you write this?
Nah, but he gives that, but I mean, I gave it to him. That's it right there. That last line is what really hurts Bojack,
right?
In my opinion.
Yeah, and yeah, but yeah, Bojack. Dang, you need two to tango, right? And if the antagonist isn't,
but hold on, they do end with this though. So I think this is another podcast. This might be another podcast, Team 4-star, or maybe not. I don't know. They say they might rate this film high on their list. Oh, no. They're saying that another podcast rates high on theirs. But for me, it says this movie is a chore to sit through. And
really?
They end it with watch Super Android 13 instead.
Oh, nah, dude. Okay, I'm done. Nah, I'm done, dude. No way. No way.
I mean, maybe we have to rewatch Super Android 13 to
that was trash, dude. We can rewatch it, but that was straight trash, dude. Nah, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you know, we did that episode.
He had me until that end of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That person had me in the review until
I was like, damn, dude, I think you wrote this until until that last sentence. But yeah, that's the overall sentiment. Like Bojack, just a trash villain. He's uninspiring. He doesn't move anyone. He's almost like how I felt towards Cooler. You know, like,
yeah, but you loved it though.
Nah, dude, I'm talking about the first one, bro.
Oh,
the second one was good, dude. Well, who else? Okay, like, yeah, I'm trying to think villains that really hit, dude. The only one to me, the best one to me by far is still. We'll get into our like our tier list or our ranking or whatever eventually in another episode. But
Mm-hmm.
for sure, the one that still hits like the most is the Hirudegan one, the Wrath of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, villains, man.
Yeah, they have a hard time with them.
They do, man.
Yeah.
Toriyama, bro. I mean, you got a gold mine on your hands, but put them writers to like work a little bit more on the villains, and I think I think we can see something real good if they put their minds to it. I think we could see a real good work of art.
I think that's why in Super there's so many tournaments. They don't know how to.
What the hell? Yeah, exactly.
They don't know how to develop the. Well, it's not that they don't know how. They just don't want to. Only villain that they did go into was Samasu, and that was so convoluted that I'm like, oh Lord, that was hard to get through.
Yeah, I think I have high hopes for the next one, dude. For the next series.
I hear Moro's pretty good, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yep. So all right, dude. Let's hear it. What's your rating out of 7 Dragon Balls? What are you giving this?
I would say I give this I think this is a solid 4 for me.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a solid 4. It's in the middle. I liked a lot of parts of the film. The part that I wish the film could have been drastically better if they had developed Bojack. So with that miss, and then that miss with Gohan and Goku, I thought really hurt the film as well. So that knocks it down a couple of notches. I thought even though I like Hercule, I didn't really think he was that funny in this film. I thought so. I didn't really feel that. So I think so. It's a couple of knocks on the film. I thought the basis of the tournament was kind of whack too. That these rich people just wanted to have a tournament, and they're just like for a little kid. So with that all said, I think it's a solid 4 just because of the other layers that exist within the other characters.
Yeah. And I remember watching this movie. Shoot, and dude, this movie, this was my movie, dude. I think I was blinded by the Trunks, like by the whole Trunks character. I was like, oh, this is Trunks right here. This is where he shines. So, I really enjoyed this this movie when I was younger, and watching it again, like I still enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't for me at least. It wasn't a chore to sit through, but I was like, yeah, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So I think I gotta go 4. I think I gotta go 4 as well. Like you said, there are those subtleties that have almost nothing to not that they don't have nothing to do, but it's not the main story. But those kind of side pieces that really like save the movie and make it really enjoyable.
And the design of them also saves it too.
Because other than that, it's just a template. Strong guy, two strong people. They go at it. One gets one stronger than the other, and the good guy wins. Oh, dude. So before we sign off, so hold up. By the way you reacted to the whole Naruto thing, I was like, yeah, okay. It doesn't look like he's gonna watch it. So
one day.
Okay. Start off Naruto. It's a ridiculous. Obviously, it's super long. Everyone talks about that, like how long it is. It's nuts how long that show is. But there is one that I definitely recommend. You can watch all the shows on YouTube, and it's one of my favorite ones, dude. And it's just like 23 episodes. It's a Cowboy Bebop, dude. It's just it's like a it's one of the best, dude. It's a great, and it's deep. Like each character, there's like I mean, if you ever will get to it, you'll find out on your own, but it's definitely one I recommend. But with that, we'll wrap this up. We'll wrap it up. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen. Chiwin's so much more better at these outros than I am. So I'm going to have to give him the final word because I always end up like forgetting something. So, like I said, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate your listenership. It was enjoyable movie for us to watch and review and critique. Let us know what you guys thought about the movie. Did you like it? Did you not? But I gotta hand over the baton to Cheween. He's gonna wrap this up for us.
Thanks. Yeah. So if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe. Hit us with a like. Put on the bell notification so that you know when our new videos drop. That's if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify or any other podcast platforms, and if you're specifically listening to us on Apple, please leave us a review. It's greatly appreciated for us. It'll give us more exposure to the algorithm. And I think that's about it. Oh yeah, follow our socials. Instagram. It's CSB Pod on Instagram, and it's going to be CSB Pod on Twitter as well. But yeah,
we'll put all that in the YouTube description. Yeah. So you guys go ahead and click the link, and yeah, we out.
We out.
Later.